but she wished she did not. The same stench of death she'd gagged on 2 years ago in a Mosul hospital. Her stomach heaved like it had that day in Iraq, the pit of her gut hurtling up to her throat. She whipped her head to the side, hoping her vomit would splatter the bastard who did this to her, if he was there. He didn't flip out, didn't make a sound. But that didn't mean he wasn't present, watching and smirking. Tori knew the power of silences. Interrogation Techniques 101 at the CIA included a whole chapter on silences. She had applied them herself. Now she brushed her fingers over her body. It was bare, varnished with sweat. She understood. Today she, Tori Swyft, was the target. She visualized her captor, leering at her from some vantage point, reveling in his handiwork as he calibrated his next move. Confront him, she told herself. She wiped the puke off her lips with the back of her hand. What do you want? She pushed out the question, her words dry and croaky. She wanted his name, to make a connection, to remind the ghoul that I'm a person, not simply your captive. A standard tactic in hostage negotiation she'd also learnt from the CIA. Except she knew it would not work. A man prepared to glue a woman's eyes shut would know that game and refuse to play it. He'd proffer his name when it suited him, if it suited him. What do you want? She repeated, her voice clearer, firmer. The monster said nothing. She pictured him holding a knife and silently stepping closer, almost felt him hovering over her and running his tongue along the blade of a K-bar. In her harrowed imagination, she saw his fingers around the leather washer handle, his reflection in the polished Crovan steel blade, brain-drunk with his power over the naked woman he'd blinded, the tingle of cold metal against his tongue. The fear welling up inside her was a dead weight, a barrier to action. She shook herself. There was nothing to be gained if she kept imagining the worst. What if this silence signaled his absence? If he'd stepped outside, a possibility, she'd have a small window to make her escape, or at least to try. Again she pulled at her eyelids, but still failed to wrench them apart. This time, though, her fingernail caught on a thin lip of gum, a hard thread-like plastic that snaked across her lashes and fused them together. She picked and scratched at it, ripping clumps of eyelashes out, but not enough to see. Without thinking, she opened her mouth to scream, opened it wide, drawing in as deep a breath as she could, and stopped herself. If he really had stepped out, the racket would bring him back, and then that smell, and her glued eyelids told her what he was capable of. She exhaled, closed her mouth, and groped sideways for a nightstand, hoping to find a phone. Hers, anyone's. As she reached out, she experienced a sharp twinge in the crook of her arm, felt a tiny lump right over the bulge of a vein. On top of whatever else the bastard had done, he'd drugged her. Chapter 2. Tori groped her left hand across the top of the nightstand beside the bed, its glass surface cold and strangely barren. She couldn't feel a lamp, a clock, not even one of those ludicrous $15 bottles of hotel water that housekeeping left in her room every night, the kind she always refused to open on principle, but would have paid 10 times for right now. Her hand nudged something metallic. It slid away, almost falling off the edge. She caught it in time and ran her fingers down its tapering length. An open penknife. Did her captor leave it behind as a threat? Or was it meant to tantalize her, a possible weapon to use against him, only to have him whip it away at the last minute? She swung her legs to the side of the bed, keeping her feet away from where she anticipated the puddle of vomit had landed, and sat up. With her head spinning, she assumed from the drugs. She sat still, waiting for the wooziness to settle, half expecting this to be the moment her tormentor would say his piece, yet he remained silent. She weighed the small knife in her hand as a new fear came over her. What if the glue had got onto her corneas? Almost in a panic, she pinched the hairs on her left lids between her thumb and forefinger and pulled. The suction popped, and her lids lifted off her eyeball. Thank heavens. She repeated the procedure with her right eye and thankfully got the same result. Her eyelashes had done what eyelashes were meant to do. They'd trapped the foreign matter and stopped it from getting into her eyes. She balanced the knife in her hand again and decided her only way